Congress government took charge in Himachal Pradesh, it promised relief, security, and welfare for employees and ordinary families. One of its first headline decisions was the restoration of the old pension scheme, projected as a historic pro-employee move that would protect the future of government. This decision carried a large long-term financial cost that such a step typically requires for fiscal sustainability. And that decision has now pushed Himachal Pradesh into one of the gravest fiscal crises in its history. The most visible sign of that stress is the state budget itself. The Himachal Pradesh budget has fallen from 58,514 crore to 54,928 crore in just 1 year, something that has never happened before in the state's history. Under the Congress government, instead of moving upward with the growing needs of the people, the budget has moved backwards. That fact alone is a red flag. State budgets usually increase over time due to rising population, infrastructure needs, welfare demands, and inflation. But in Himachal Pradesh, under Congress rule, the opposite has happened. The Congress government has pushed the state into a position where it no longer has the fiscal strength to meet its own growing responsibilities. At the same time that the budget has shrunk, Himachal Pradesh debt has crossed 1 lakh crore, with liabilities projected to rise even further. The debt to GSDP ratio is moving beyond 40%, heading toward 50%, which means the state is becoming increasingly dependent on borrowing just to stay afloat. This mounting crisis has forced the state to seek additional support from the centre and the RBI, including special packages and borrowing relaxations. This is the direct outcome of Congress's Khatakhat Freebie model. In 2024, for the first time in the state's history, nearly 2 lakh government employees and around 1.5 lakh pensioners did not receive their salaries and pensions on time. And when a government begins delaying salaries and pensions, the crisis is no longer hidden in budget documents. It is hitting ordinary people directly. But the situation has become even more serious. The Congress government has now been forced to impose salary cuts on senior officers. Top officials such as the Chief Secretary, the DGP, and the Principal Chief Conservator of Forests are facing salary cuts of 30%. Officers including secretaries, deputy SPs, and chief conservators of forests are facing salary cuts of 20%. And the crisis has gone beyond the bureaucracy. Chief Minister Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu also announced that cabinet ministers would forgo their salaries too. This is the mess Congress has dragged Himachal Pradesh into. Why destroy a state's financial stability for political applause? Why make promises the treasury cannot sustain, only to leave employees, pensioners, and public institutions to bear the consequences? And yet, even while salaries are being delayed and officers are facing cuts, the state's committed expenditure keeps rising. Today, salaries, pensions, and interest payments are consuming over half of the state's total expenditure. In 2026 to 27, out of every 100 spent, 70% is allocated to committed liabilities and debt repayment, leaving very little for capital works and development. This is the real cost of Congress's fiscal mismanagement. The state treasury is being drained just to sustain recurring liabilities, leaving very little for development. And that is why capital expenditure has fallen from over 6,700 crore to nearly 3,000 crore. And even after all this financial strain, the welfare delivery itself is failing. Schemes like Kanyadan have seen utilization of barely 10%, while Shagan stands at just 17%. So, after all the slogans and all the guarantees, Himachal Pradesh has been left with a shrinking budget, rising debt, stalled development, delayed salaries, and a government under fiscal strain, which will take years for the state and its people to recover. This is what happens when public finance is sacrificed for a do theatrics, and Himachal is now paying the price for it.